We've already got them here. Do you want them in your neighborhood now, Rick? So that they can go to school with your child.
Well, you're blaming the Democrats for everything that's happening on the border.
Well, yes, I am, because they're the ones that just passed the law.
Because
if you show up with a child, you're automatically let into the country. You're detained. You cannot be detained for longer than 20 days. Don't interrupt me. And after 20 days, they have to be released into the interior of the United States.
But so still under the supervision of the legal system.
Yeah, they don't come back.
They do.
They don't.
They fucking do. They've done studies. They've done studies.
No, it's not happening. Those studies are false. They are leaving.
Everything's false unless they come from fucking Hannity.
Rick, they are going into the interior of the country and vanishing.
No, they show up for court dates.
No, they don't.
They do. More than 95% of them show up for court dates.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, you don't believe shit unless Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity tells you what
this is what happens. We read a report about this already. They usually take 2 or 3 hearings. At best, they show up to the first hearing. There are 2 more. They don't show up to the second and third. Eventually, they're vanished. They're gone. They're part of the American system. And it's because... Rick, do you want to bring in 100,000 people every month that's claimed to be seeking asylum? Do you want that? And because that's the rule now. That's what the Democrats are doing. The Democrats passed 2 laws. Listen to me. 1, just listen. If you have a kid with you, you can't be retained for longer than 20 days.
Was this shit happening not under Trump? Was this shit happening before Trump?
No, they just instituted this law.
Were we getting 100,000?
No, it's spiking.
You don't think it has anything to do with Trump? You don't think that the fucking child separation laws...
The child separation laws occurred under Obama.
No, that's your fucking propaganda.
No. Okay, listen, I don't.
Trump.
Let me stay on the point.
Trump made everything. Trump made everything worse with regard to immigration.
No.
And now he's dumping it in the Democrats' lap.
My God. There is a rule now that the Democrats have instituted
to protect the kids.
Please let me get a point across. That if you can show up and you say that you're seeking asylum, the Ninth Circuit ruled that you cannot wait in Mexico for your hearing. They insist that you have to wait in the United States. Why?
And you think Trump had nothing to do with this chain of events? You don't think Trump fucking up our immigration system didn't have anything to do with...
Can you show me how Trump fucked up our immigration system?
Well,
prove it.
I don't think I can prove... let's make it homework for next week, because...
No, you can't prove it.
I bet you I can if I had 2 hours to research
No.
Trump's not fucking blameless.
No. Trump tried to pass a law. Now, just listen to me. Use your brain. Trump tried to pass a law that if you are seeking asylum, you have to wait in Mexico. You're not allowed into the United States, where you could disappear. The Democrats overruled that. Trump also
gummed up the immigration system, like the fewer people getting in legitimately, fewer judges working on this shit.
Rick, our courts are overwhelmed. We can't handle 100,000 a month, Rick. You think the United States is made up of judges? We're trying to double. Trump just tried to double and triple the number of judges because the Democrats are drawing in hundreds of thousands of people every month. We are going to be doing nothing but evaluating with courts our illegal aliens' asylum requests. Do you understand how impractical and insane this is?
Trump fucked up the immigration.
Prove it.
By next week I'll have.
Okay, you are making a false assertion. You have no proof for it. You're saying this simply to be contrary. You have no proof whatsoever. You're making it up.
Now, I'm not saying that it's Trump entirely. But
It's not Trump at all. You have not one fact on your side.
really,
Yeah, why don't you just give up and admit that it's the Democrats that have caused this problem, not Trump? Why don't you just admit it?
because it's bullshit to
No,
admit it.
no. Let me ask you a question.
Trump was
Rick.
going to be the
Rick,
great solver of this
Rick,
problem.
Rick,
He hasn't
he's
built,
tried to build a wall
and he hasn't built one extra.
because the Democrats have shut down the government to prevent it.
You know, people 8 years ago.
Wait, the Democrats shut down the government to prevent him from using money
No, he
to build
shut
a
down
wall.
the motherfucking government.
No,
8
no,
years
wait a
ago.
minute. Wait, did the
Hold on.
Democrats
Fucking
want to build
hold
a
on.
wall?
Fucking hold on. 8 years ago, people said, why couldn't Obama do anything? He owned the Senate. He owned the House. He owned the presidency. And now Trump had a Republican House, a Republican Senate, and the presidency for 2 years. And he didn't build one extra fucking football field full of wall.
And you think he did not try? You think the Democrats would have been going along with this? You don't think the Democrats?
He owned the fucking government.
Rick,
So
Rick,
if
Rick.
Obama owned the government from 2008 to 2010, the same way Trump owned the government from 2017
I
to
understand your point.
2019.
You're making it again.
Yeah, right. But
Okay, Rick,
why couldn't he
Rick,
fucking build anything?
Rick,
And whatever happened to infrastructure? What happened to any of this shit? Why is the only thing that he fucking did was a bunch of executive actions and a tax cut for the rich?
Okay, Rick.
He didn't do
Rick,
anything.
Rick, can you sit down, please? Because I'm trying to have a reasonable discussion with you. Now, it is your assertion that Trump did not attempt to build the wall. Is that what you're trying to convince people?
Yeah, he attempted, but he didn't get any fucking thing done.
Well, why is that, Rick?
He owned the fucking government. Why couldn't
Rick, right now, since the 2018 election, the last act that the House passed before the 2018 election was to authorize funding for a wall. Did you know that?
Wait, which? Do you mean the
The
one
last
where?
thing that
You mean the emergency
the
declaration?
Republican run
The emergency declaration that's going to
into-
pull X billion from this and X billion.
No. That's the Trump emergency declaration. The last act of the Republican-held Congress, the House of Representatives.
So no, I don't know that.
The last thing that they passed before they lost control of the government was to fund a wall.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the Democrats refused to allocate the funds,
Okay.
so Trump couldn't get the money to build the wall.
Which Democrats? The ones who came in and took over after
Yes,
the election?
that is correct, sir.
Well, why didn't the fucking Republicans pass something like that in 2017 or earlier in 2018?
Well, but that's not germane to our argument.
but Trump had. But the argument is he had 2 years.
No. He can't allocate funds. He's a president.
But
when the House finally allocated the funds, your argument.
why did the House take 2 years?
Rick,
Why did the House take 2
You keep asking me
fucking-
questions, but you're not letting me answer them.
All right, so answer that question.
I will answer it if you could close your pie hole. All right. 1. Your argument was that Trump fucked up immigration and Trump could not build a wall because he's inadequate. That's your argument. Okay. The Republicans in the House under Paul Ryan were not committed to building that wall for 2 years. But
Oh, I know this argument.
But
So
but wait. You said you'd keep me. You'd be
No, but-
quiet.
but-
You
but-
said you'd be quiet.
I'm gonna say because you have a theory and I can't.
It's not a
counter it.
theory.
That Ryan is
Ryan-
pro
Ryan-
illegal labor.
Yeah, Ryan refused to bring the thing up. So Trump did not have the funds to build the wall. The last act of the 2018 Republican House was to pass a bill to build a wall. That was what they did. Since then, since November of 2018, Trump has been attempting to build a wall. There are new, in fact, and the Democrats have refused to allocate the funding. Now, Trump refused to sign a bill funding the government unless the Democrats would allocate the funds. They refused, so the government was not funded. The government was shut down because Trump was trying to get the money to build the wall. Finally, Trump gave up that approach and then issued an executive emergency order to defend the border by building a wall.
Yeah, how's that going?
Well, it's going reasonably well, but my point
is any wall being built?
Yes, wall is being built.
How much wall is being built? I heard that wall is
I
heard that they're taking the old walls and they're fixing them up.
Okay, but the allocation only occurred within the past 60 days, Rick. So my point is, my point is that when you say Trump is doing nothing to stop illegal aliens, illegal immigration, you're making that up out of whole cloth. It's a fantasy. You're making it up. You have nothing to stand on. You have no proof.
Well, let's talk about, all right, no proof, but like general principles. Trump is extremely polarizing. He's not a compromising kind of guy. And we're at a very polarizing, I'm not saying he's the only polarizing guy, but the Democrats and Republicans have managed to come up with shit that worked with regard to immigration. They had shit that worked under Reagan, they had shit that worked in the 90s, they had shit that worked in the 2000s. But shit is very messed up right now.
No, they never did.
They never had a complete solution.
No, they never had any solution. We've just been gradually getting more and more illegal aliens. And the first person that's actually trying to stop it is Trump.
So there are some...
Can you get in the pose, please? I don't know why you're out of the pose.
Because I was throwing the chair down and shit.
Maybe y'all can talk about these issues.
Yeah, let's talk. I thought you wanted to talk about William Barr.
All right, let's talk about William Barr.
Real quick. So, I believe the Trump administration reduced taxes, right? I believe that the embassy got moved to Israel. I believe there aren't rockets flying over North Korea. I believe.
Wait, what's this? What's this?
Well, I'm just saying. Would you consider those accomplishments? You said there was no accomplishments under the Trump administration. And moreover, do you think that the Mueller investigation has helped Trump accomplish that?
All right, you're asking four fucking separate
questions. Or has it weighed him down? Has the Mueller investigation weighed the administration down? And does that help? Does that help the government, or does that does that help the president, or does that hinder the president when he's under the gun for espionage and for being a traitor? Okay, I'll let you guys comment on that.
Well, all right, let's go to the... You asked a bunch of shit, so that's too much shit. And it's also, all those points, you said we need to watch to make sure that you're not helping him too much. All four of those points were on his side, so fucking cut it out. All right, so the Mueller investigation. We still haven't seen the Mueller report. The last I heard was, out of 380 pages of the report, when the thing is released by Barr, we're only going to get to see 140 pages, minus all the redactions. And some people are saying now it might only be 50 pages. So between 60 and 90 and 88, 85% of it is going to be hidden from us still after Barr is done with it, according to rumor. And all right, let me talk about Barr. Fucking people hoped that he would be somewhat nonpartisan, even though he was nicknamed Mr. Cover-Up 30 years ago for helping to hide a bunch of shit about Iran-Contra that happened under Reagan and G.H.W. Bush, the first Bush. So Barr gets in there, and he issues a 4-page summary, and that is pretty strongly exonerates Trump in at least one area, and half exonerates him in another,
Can you not move, please?
yeah, and people are, and then he takes the report's it's been 3 weeks since the report was issued. The report's like 380 pages, and we still no redacted version has been issued. So they're working at a rate of less than 20 pages a day. They can't get it done. They're supposed to be editing and redacting, and it's been 3 weeks. Still nothing. But people are still, kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt that he's America's Attorney General, and then he says he's in front of Congress, and he says that he thinks there was spying on Trump during the election. And then a congressperson asks him, do you have any evidence of that? And he goes, no, it's just a feeling. So now everybody's thinking, at least on my side of things, well, these 3 things kind of point to perhaps Barr not being a nonpartisan dealer, that he's using the language of Trump, that Trump was spied on. And so what we hear in the liberal media, or the mainstream media, is that he's not America's Attorney General, he's Trump's Attorney General. And he has yet to, when the redacted report comes out, we'll maybe see one way or the other. But right now...
You can put your arms down.
Okay.
I'm just going to do your head for a bit.
All right. It seems last week felt like a really dark week.
Turn your head more toward me.
In America.
Yeah.
Because it seems like there's no way to hold Trump to account. That he appointed an attorney general who, before he was appointed, applied for the job by writing a 19-page paper saying that a sitting president can't be indicted for anything. He was the one guy to do this, and he was the one guy hired by Trump.
The Justice Department...
I know, it's policy.
That is the Justice Department's official paper. It was made before Trump took office.
Yeah, but he hired the guy who wrote it.
But all people that agree with the Justice Department's decision on this believe that. So he was just pointing out that it was ridiculous to try to indict Trump because it's against U.S. policy. The policy was made long before Trump was president.
But he still hired the guy who wrote the paper.
Well, so what?
So he hired the guy who wrote an essay, an advertisement that says, pick me because I really believe this shit, that I will cover your ass.
Well, Trump. If Trump didn't collude with Russia, then what's the problem? Is he supposed to hire somebody that will find that he colluded with Russia, even though Mueller says he didn't? Would that satisfy you?
The thing that I keep hearing is that the summary, the 4-page and really 3-page summary, doesn't even contain one complete sentence from the Mueller report.
It doesn't have to.
So Trump initially said, release the whole report. Okay. I don't care. Now he's saying, no, let's not release the report.
Can I
respond? Which makes people think that on Twitter, where I get my information,
yes,
that it makes people think, well, Trump said release the report. Then he sees the report, and he's like, don't release the report. That makes people on Twitter think, well, there's a bunch of bad shit in the report. Whether it adds up to legal culpability or not, Trump going from saying release it to not release it means that maybe it's got some stuff in that 400 pages, that 380 pages that's shitty about Trump.
All right, let me respond.
Okay.
This is the second time that you've brought up the fact that it's only 3 pages and the report was 400 pages.
Uh-huh.
Like the math matters. Let me explain to you. You don't need to read the whole 1,000 pages of the Bible to know that it says that there is a God. The summary simply said, so that people didn't have to wait months, Barr did the responsible thing, read the summary, said, you know what? I'm going to put you guys out of your misery so you don't have to wait for months. This says that Trump didn't collude with Russia and that he didn't obstruct justice. So
actually, no, it was equivocal
I
on
know.
obstructing
It said
justice.
that the Attorney General was allowed to decide based on the evidence given to him by Mueller.
It didn't say that the Attorney General is allowed to decide.
It is. Mueller said that here presented the facts and said he would let the Attorney General decide whether there was obstruction of justice.
I thought that was unclear, that whether he was leaving it for the Attorney General or
He
leaving it
did.
to Congress.
He left it to the Attorney General, which is the proper thing to do according to U.S. law. And the Attorney General said, I hereby find that there is no grounds to indict Trump for obstruction of justice. Moreover, if there is no crime of conspiracy or collusion with Russia, then there is no obstruction of justice because there is no crime. So all he was doing was summarizing it for you. Now,
yeah, but there's the question as to whether he's a fair broker.
Well, Mueller said that there was no collusion with Russia.
No prosecutable collusion.
But that's it, Rick. There's no prosecutable proof that you beat your wife. So that's the end of it in the United States. Maybe not on Twitter, but that's it. It's over for you, guy. There's nothing you can do.
We need to see the report.
Well, it doesn't matter. Rick,
So what, are you in favor of not seeing the report?
No, we can see the report, but it won't make any difference. That's my problem.
Don't
Rick.
you want to see the report? You've said you want to see the report.
Rick,
Don't you want to see the fucking report?
I'll tell you something. It doesn't matter whether I want to or not. The decision's already been made by Mueller and the Attorney General. It's over for you. You're grabbing at straws. It looks desperate. It looks stupid.
Not according to a majority of people surveyed. More people believe that Trump colluded with Russia now than they did 3 weeks ago before the report came out.
That's a testament to how good the brainwashing is of the media. The liberal media has very effectively brainwashed you.
Not so much.
Wait, Rick. I want to say, now you had your chance to say something.
Go
I want to say
stuff. Say stuff.
There are stupid people in the world, and there are intelligent people. My concern is that at a certain point, the intelligent people start saying, you know what? We're not going to win this. We're not going to be able to prove that Trump colluded with Russia. And we better try to beat Trump on other things, actual policies, because this is a loser. And what bothers me is that I am now having to live in a world where people that I thought were extremely bright, I'm finding out intelligence has nothing to do with wisdom. Now listen to me, Rick. You're a very bright man. You've got one of the highest IQs in the world. You passed that mega society test, and you're smart enough to understand that if the Attorney General and the Inspector Mueller, the chief investigator, the special prosecutor, both found that there was no collusion, then the smart people are going to start breaking away from Twitter and saying, you know what, guys? The jig is up. This ain't going anywhere. That ship has sailed.
But that's not what's happening. What's happening on Twitter, which isn't the
No,
whole
but no, I
fucking
want to know what's happening in your mind.
No, what's happening in my mind is that Barr seems there seems to be an increasing amount of evidence that Barr is not a nonpartisan.
Well, was Mueller nonpartisan? You know, 3 weeks ago you said he was a man of great nobility. I can find the show where you said that.
Well, yeah, he seems.
So why didn't he indict Trump? He indicted Flynn. Why didn't he call for an indictment?
We need to see the report.
No. I just want to know. Let me ask you a question. If he indicted Paul Manafort, and he indicted Papadopoulos, and he indicted General Flynn, why didn't he indict Trump?
All right, what I've read is that there are 20 investigations into Trump and his people going on. A lot of them going on in like the.
What about the Mueller investigation? Why didn't he indict Trump, Rick? Think hard.
Well, for one thing, you can't indict a sitting president.
No. The Mueller report was actually, it says in the summary that this conclusion was reached outside of that argument. In other words, that argument was mentioned in the summary, and the Mueller report reached its conclusion in spite of that argument.
Here's what.
Why didn't the Mueller report indict Trump?
I urge people to.
No, why didn't it indict Trump if he's guilty of collusion?
I urge people to take a look at Seth Abramson on Twitter, who does long Twitter threads of information about an analysis of what is going on. And among the things that are going on is that Mueller spun off more than 12.5 investigations. Or maybe it wasn't all Mueller, but there are currently roughly 19 or 20 investigations.
I understand
going on.
But and Mueller had.
And that the way to protect those investigations is to take them out from under Mueller and turn them over to the District of New York.
Why didn't Mueller indict him? Why didn't he indict him, Rick? Why didn't
we
he
need
call
to see the report.
No, but I just want to know, why didn't he indict him? Now there is a summary where Mueller says Trump did not collude with Russia. He's exonerated. And you can't obstruct.
What's the word verbiage that says that?
Trump did not collude with Russia. We can look it up if you want.
Trump, let's look it up.
That's what Mueller said. We read this, by the way, 2 weeks ago.
Let's read it again, because I forget.
Okay. Listen, Rick.
But the deal is
Rick, we had this thing where we were going to stop looking things up every 5 minutes.
All right, then fine.
Can you accept that the Mueller report says that Trump did not collude with Russia? We had this argument already. That is what the Mueller report said. I can even remember your argument. Your argument was maybe there was someone of Russian nationality that he did collude with. It said, I'll tell you the exact words. No one in the Trump campaign, or Trump himself, or a member of Trump's family, knowingly or in actuality, colluded with anyone associated with the Russian government. That's what it says. That's what the Barr summary says, almost word for word. So wait a minute. You can't obstruct justice when no crime has been committed. Can your brain comprehend that?
Nope, can't fucking comprehend it.
So I can obstruct justice if I'm accused of murder and there is nobody murdered.
Yeah. Yes. Or at the very least.
If the police come and accuse me of murder, and I try to obstruct justice, and they find out that I didn't commit any murder, no one is dead, I can still go to prison for obstructing justice.
I think so, but I'm not sure. We've had this discussion.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this.
But
you really think that we're going to put a president in jail for obstructing justice on a crime that never occurred? Logically.
I think we need to see the Mueller report.
You keep saying that, and I'm asking you for answers. I want you to answer it. Think it through. Think it through.
There's plenty of evidence that Barr is not a fair broker.
Was Mueller a fair broker?
Yeah.
Then why didn't he indict Trump if he colluded with Russia?
To answer that question, I think we need to see the report.
All right, I'm done. What else is there to discuss?
Well, based on the Barr suggestion, now there's going to be an investigations, a series into what started the Mueller report and whether it was fair enough.
Yeah,
Are you willing to support that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that, because this one here, this guy here,
Yes.
likes to say, well, it's all dossier. It started with the dossier, and the dossier hasn't been substantiated, and it's full of crazy accusations. But if you read the timeline of how all this started, the dossier was not the first thing.
What was the first thing?
Maybe Carter Page, maybe Papadopoulos.
Okay.
But anyway, but before we start having the same argument we've had like 8, 11, 14 times before, I support the investigation. Fucking investigate it. Though, and I won't get this wish, but my wish would be that the fact of having an investigation, that it wouldn't be like shouted from the Republican rooftops, oh, it's being investigated, as if investigation equals guilt. And you'd like that on the other side. But yeah, investigate it, show the timeline of how this whole thing happened. You know, drag in some fucking Strzok and Page and everybody who fucking worked for the FBI. And
so you're conceding, though, that Trump is not guilty of collusion? Because you just said that they shouldn't assume that the Democrats are guilty of starting this.
no, I'm saying, no, I mean, if you want to, you just got us off of this fucking thing so we can move on to the next thing. But the deal is
But you just said
that
that
I want to
nobody
see the
should be
report.
guilty yet.
I want to see, I would like to
So
see
nobody's
it.
guilty yet, right? Neither Trump nor nobody that started. Is that what you're saying? Until all investigations are complete.
No, but I'm
Trump
saying
is
that.
guilty of collusion?
No, I'm not saying until all investigations are complete, but I'd like to see the report, and I'd like to see what's going on in some of the 20 or so other investigations into Trump.
But at this point, you're conceding that Trump hasn't done anything wrong because there's no.
No, I'm not conceding that he hasn't done anything wrong. I'm not. Absence of evidence
So
is.
then the folks who started this investigation of the Mueller are also at this. You can't have it both ways. So they obviously did something wrong too, then, right?
No. But fucking investigate if you want, and.
But they're innocent right now to proven guilty, right? But Trump doesn't get that same luxury.
Yeah, but we haven't seen the shit yet. We haven't seen, as the liberal media likes to say, we haven't seen one single complete sentence from the Mueller report out of 400 pages.
Why does the math matter? I'm just curious.
Because fucking
what
400.
What if somebody came to you and said, your mother's dead? Would you need to see the report? Either she's dead or she isn't.
Well,
I mean, why do you need to see the report if that's the conclusion? She's dead.
well,
Why does that? Why is
because
that
that's a false
compelling argument?
analogy. Because you're either
It is.
dead or you're not dead.
And you're either exonerated, you either colluded with Russia or you didn't, Rick.
No, because
Something in that report is going to prove he colluded with Russia, even though the summary says he didn't?
yeah, it could be. Yes.
Okay, and so what you're saying is that Barr is lying.
Barr is spinning.
Okay, but why didn't Mueller indict then? But Mueller had the opportunity to indict when he had control over the investigation. If Trump colluded with Russia, Mueller should have indicted. Wait a minute! Mueller should have indicted rather than giving it to Barr.
All I'm saying.
No.
I get to say what I want to say, and what I want to say is I want to see the report.
Why didn't Mueller indict?
I want to see the report.
Why didn't Mueller indict?
I want to see the report.
Okay, all right, fine. See, my argument is this. If you are the special prosecutor and you find evidence that Trump colluded, you don't write a report and do nothing and give it over to the Attorney General, who is Trump's pawn. You take the opportunity to indict.
I want to see the report.
Because by giving the report to Barr, who is an evil man,
he's not an. Oh wait. Well, let's. I want to. Wait. I got a whole new subject on Barr. No. We're going in a circle. We're not. I'm not changing my mind. I know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying. Let's.
No, I'm not finished. Two men. I get to finish my point. Mueller indicted several people. Papadopoulos, Flynn, even Roger Stone. So if he thought Trump was indictable, he had the power to indict him when he was special prosecutor. He gave up that power when he presented the report to Barr. Now he can't indict Trump, and Barr's not going to indict Trump. So if Mueller thought there was something to indict him for, he should have done it by now, but he didn't.
Or else he did an end run. Earlier, you talked about a flanking movement.
It's a flanking movement.
No, wait. Yeah. Okay. In Game of Thrones, you talked about defeating
Can you get in the pose?
Right. You talked about the flanking movement to defeat a much larger enemy.
Uh-huh.
Now, it's possible
Yes.
that in farming out certain aspects of this investigation, so that there are currently 19 or 20 other investigations to Trump going on, some of which started with Mueller and were farmed out.
Uh-huh.
It may be that Mueller scooted.
Could you put your hands on that thing?
Yeah. Mueller scooted some of these important
Okay,
investigations away from the grubby hands of Barr.
Okay, dream on, Rick. It's pathetic.
Okay, fine. But let's talk about body shaming, because we're not supposed to do that.
All right.
But, Trump and Barr are some fat motherfuckers. They're some fat fucks. And we're not supposed to body shame. But there's a certain kind of white male fat fuckness that seems to be like entitled fatness. That, like, Trump thinks he's a fucking stud, and he can bang porn stars. He doesn't have to exercise. Says he gets all the exercise he needs by yelling. You and I, we work out. We work out every fucking day. We somehow feel like the rules of biology are such that we need to if we don't want to look like fat fucks, we need to exercise. But fucking Trump, he's better than that. He's a stud even if he doesn't exercise. I get that same feeling of entitled fatness from Bill Barr.
You know what? If I had $9 billion and I could still get women that look like Melania, I might not exercise. If I could hold on, like I occasionally get a minute with an attractive woman, but they dump me because they don't feel like there's
there's $9 billion.
Like they can build a life with me. And so I think if I had the $9 billion, I could hang on to a beautiful woman, and maybe that has lulled Trump into complacency. Maybe he doesn't feel like he has to work out. I mean, and frankly, in his world, he doesn't. So you can't hate him for that. He's just not working as hard as we are.
Yeah, well, maybe he should work hard on that.
I think he's right. I think he's arrived at the correct conclusion. I would have been married 6 times by now if I had $9 billion.
Well, you wouldn't have $9 billion anymore. Plus, Trump doesn't have $9 billion. He's lucky if he has $1 billion.
All right.
What's the next thing?
Science corner.
Science corner.
No,
Is this where we're
God.
going to talk about the questions of existence, or what's the deal? All right, so you sent me a video which I failed to watch because I'm lazy. Some kid who's supposed to be a genius said he has proof of God, and which boiled down to how do you have creation without a creator? And my argument is that whole argument depends on the idea that if in the absence of some outside force, you have nothing. Because we're materialistic. We live in a material world, and we think that you don't get something for nothing. But there's another way of looking at it.
Wait, did you say you don't get something for nothing or from nothing?
For nothing.
No, you don't get something from nothing. From nothing, nothing comes.
Right, but it's the same thing. You don't get something for nothing's free.
No, you're confusing buying something or trading for something and the origin, that where do things come from?
You know what?
They
so
can't
does
come
everybody.
from nothing.
Everybody conflates that in a material society.
All right, fair
So-
enough. Go ahead.
So if you want something
Yes.
for nothing,
From nothing.
for nothing or from nothing, you need the intercession of a creator, according to a really materialistic view of the universe.
Okay.
I've got an alternate view that says that there are principles of existence. There are, right? We can agree that there must be some rules.
They don't exist in a vacuum.
Right.
No, wait a minute. You can't have rules for things that don't exist.
But you...
So if there was nothing, nothing means no rules as well.
No, wait, hold... Kind of, but like, you agree that the worlds that exist, and we know that a bunch of worlds exist in the... I'm not saying that they're alternate worlds, but if you consider every moment in the world a world unto itself that leads to the next moment, which is a world.
Yeah.
Every moment is a world.
Okay, fine.
And every one of these worlds, every one of these moments has rules, right?
Okay.
It's not just pure chaos.
That's true.
All right. And so these rules, we can hope, can be generalized as principles of existence. And as such, we can guess that they eliminate huge sets of worlds that are impossible because they're illogical and they're self-inconsistent and they violate the principles of existence, right?
I was thinking about my drawing. Just
Okay.
go ahead, please.
All right, so it makes sense that there are principles of existence that allow some worlds to exist or some moments to exist. And if you extrapolate or assume that there are these principles, then these principles, we know from our own world, or many moments of an infinity of moments of this world existing, that worlds can exist under these principles of existence. And if these principles are pretty much all there is that determine which worlds can exist and which can't, then worlds can exist for free. Or there's the possibility they can exist for free. They can exist without the intercession of a creator, without the creator coming in and making things.
No, you can't have principles without things.
Okay, but
It's like you can't have rules to Monopoly without a Monopoly game existing.
fine. But neither of those things requires a creator.
Yeah, somebody has to create Monopoly.
All right, here's what you need. At least according to our understanding of principles, you need, to have a world, that world needs a history. It needs a past. It needs causation. It needs a bunch of shit to have happened to reach the present moment.
Okay.
But none of this stuff necessarily requires a creator.
Well, what creates that world that makes the history?
You're assuming that there needs to be a creator.
Actually, from nothing, nothing comes. You're
You're assuming that the default state
Yes.
of existence is nothing.
Right.
I'm saying that anything that can exist does exist, and the default state of existence is anything that can exist under the rules of existence.
Yeah, but where do they come from? Did they just jump out of the ether? Is there?
Well, they exist according to the rules of existence because they can't not exist, because the rules are such that worlds are allowed to exist.
Who allows them? They just come out of nowhere?
The rules of self-consistency.
So when there was absolutely nothing, the rules of self-consistency jumped out of nowhere?
Kinda.
How would that happen, Rick?
Because the rules of self-consistency, you
Why
said,
not the
according
rule-
to what you just said,
Yes,
you can't have a monopoly. You can't have the rules of monopoly without a monopoly set.
that's true.
And so the worlds and the principles of the worlds coexist. But this coexistence does not necessitate a creator.
Well, then how did it get here? How did the world and its rules come about? Where
You're
did it come from?
assuming.
Was it always there?
Are you saying something like, okay, so you're a kid, and you don't have a game of Monopoly, right? And your parent gives you a game of Monopoly. So now there are rules to the game of Monopoly. And the way you got the Monopoly game was through your parents, but your parents aren't God, right? Your parents are just part of that system. So
If you look at the history of quantum systems, that is, let's assume, all right, we know that worlds have histories. So if you took our history back, it's not unreasonable to think that at some point in the world's history there was a time of origin, a time when there was nearly zero information in the universe, nearly zero matter, nearly zero space. And what you would have is this really fuzzy kind of quantum fog.
What created that? Where did it come from?
It originates because it's allowed to originate. It's an allowed state under the rules of existence.
Who created the rules? Where did the rules of existence come from?
They coexist with stuff that exists.
Where did the things that exist come from?
They are allowed states.
Yeah.
And so you don't need,
I don't think this is working out for you, Rick.
just because it's not familiar doesn't mean that it's not a reasonable point of view.
Well, you're
Now,
saying
but I will say, I got to argue
yes.
that it's got, this point of view has problems. The one problem is, say you've got a world that originates from a quantum fog. Now, by analogy, like we have a mental world. We have the information in our consciousness. But that information can't exist in our consciousness without the hardware to support it, with that hardware being our brains. So, assuming that the universe is made of information, maybe there has to be hardware external to the universe to support that information structure. So maybe it does imply a creator, or at least a support system. But it's naive to think that nothingness is